And we're joining the quads, Headington School against Marlow Rowing Club, this Diamond Jubilee event for schoolgirls, an event new in 2012. And Headington School, they've come here, they've looked so well drilled, so well together. They're in the blue on the left-hand side. Marlow Rowing Club just watching their steering there as they come off the end of the island. Their blade workers are just a little bit messier as they're having to put the rudder on, but I think it is the Marlow girls. They beat the Henley quad. It was a local derby for them yesterday that may have got the slightly better start.
Yeah, well, look, we see the crews coming here. We've got the girls here, all under 18, from Marlow Rowing Club on the near side, coached by Brett King. They've got difficult conditions. They're feeling that headwind. We can see the blades just getting blown into the air a little bit, but they're the scullers. They won the silver at the national schools. The Headington crew on the far side, they've come out of an 8. They won the national schools within the 8. So we've got the interesting situation of here is how well do we transfer our skills from rowing with the 1 oar in the 8 to the 2 sculls in the quad, because there's only one event for under 18 girls here at Henley, so the Headington girls needed to get into the quad, and they'll want to make sure they can hang in here and not let this Marlow Rowing Club crew break that contact and break the overlap, because they want to stay in for their next part of the race.
Yeah, and I think, Greg, you know, this is going to really test these young athletes' skills. Look at the water, it is poppy and it is quite difficult out there. And it is Marlow Rowing Club, the heavier crew that are moving away at this stage from Headington, as you say, who have come out of the 8. We are looking at Amber Simon, Rosalind Wilson, Molly Hiding and Hardy Long there, rowing beautifully together. They've had a fantastic regatta so far, not yet been pushed. They're here at semi-finals day, and we know that, you know, this is a boat that has good pedigree, good international experience, and look at them, they're putting it to good boat speed, Greg.
That's right, yeah. Heidi in the stroke seat. Heidi Long raced at Junior World Championships last year. She's leading her boat. She's got the most experience, but they've all got international experience. So they'll be able to handle the pressure of the day. They'll be able to handle the water, holding those 2 sculls, where perhaps this might not have been the conditions that the Headington girls were hoping for, because Ryan DeMaid there has put together a fantastic program at Headington, but now looking at his girls needing to steer their boat, and they probably want to get themselves back on station because they're starting to get dragged in a little bit to the Marlow boat. That's what tends to happen when you get a bit behind. You catch the bow wave and it drags you in. They want to make sure they get back as close to the booms as they can, as close to the shelter without hitting them back on that Berkshire station.
Absolutely, and I was talking to Ryan at Henley Women's Regatta, where he brought the girls and he had a fantastic squad, and he's talking about creating these whole athletes that can go on to be great senior athletes should they choose to. So mixing them between the 8 and the sculling is a really good idea to give them as many options. The Marlow Rowing Club, they have been concentrating on the sculling. Many young athletes, they do start on that, on the more symmetrical stroke. Some argue it is better for the body. Many argue being in a single scull is good for the boat skills. But having focused on that, you can see that the Marlow Rowing Club is ahead. And looking at the umpires launch there, those beautiful long boats, you know, they will be looking at this and they will be seeing that the Marlow boat, although it is coming over a little bit, it's a reasonable way ahead now of Headington.
Well, the thing you said there is interesting about the switching between the sculling and the rowing and having good all-round skills. I mean, I guess traditionally in this country, even at international level, we've tended to be better at the sweep or rowing with 1 oar, and that probably comes down to the fact that most of our rowing is in the big schools, where people put together a school 8, because apart from anything, it's easier to manage a large group of kids in an 8. That's what Headington are targeted. They've got to be the best women's school in the country. Now we see the emergence of sculling. We've seen the Catherine Granger effect. We've seen more and more people rowing within clubs like Marlow Rowing Club, where it's not a big school. So let's take on the sculling. Let's put girls out in singles. Let's put boys out in singles. And now we're seeing it coming through in the quads.
Absolutely. Really sadly not seeing Catherine Granger race at the regatta. We're going to have to wait to Lucerne. She's racing the double. There is no double for international women here at the Royal Regatta. But I also think it's the Diamond Jubilee Challenge Cup effect. The clubs and schools want to come to Henley Royal Regatta and have this opportunity, girls and boys. And since 2012, girls sculling has improved, Greg.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic to have a girls' sculling event here at Henley. It's absolutely what we need to have, to give girls, like we're seeing here, seeing Heidi Long there in the stroke seat. We saw Molly Harding, we saw Rosalind Wilson, and we saw Amber Simon behind her, and they'll be really pleased with what they're seeing when they look back. And the Headington crew now have been unfortunately dragged out into the middle because they've caught that bow wave, and they're not going to be enjoying that quite so much.
Yeah, absolutely. It's tough out there for Katie Kingsmith, Danielle Simpson, Isabella Lingard and Linda Curry. These girls, they're 9 stone 12 average. That's just over a lightweight woman event weight. And the Marlow Rowing Club, they're much more you'd expect from a heavyweight athlete. And I think in these headwind conditions, we are seeing the bigger athletes taking advantage.
Yeah, the headwind is usually better for the heavier crew because the stroke tends to be longer. Perhaps you get away with not quite such tidy technique, although you wouldn't say that about that Marlow crew. That's lovely technique. Brett King will be very pleased with what he's done there. A real hard-working guy, Brett, who is coached at Marlow Rowing Club as a real stalwart of the club, and he'll be delighted to have this event here at Henley, like you say, and now to see his crew looking pretty strong and looking like they could well be seeing the final tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Brett King, he supported the international women for years at Longridge when we were training out of that. He then moved about 150 metres up to Marlow. I think it's probably because we went and had coffee there, and he has made such an impact at that club. And the impact he's made is to create these athletes who have this wonderful technique, this wonderful rhythm and this wonderful togetherness. Look at their heads. They absolutely move together. You can see how aligned they are down the boat. This is beautiful sculling by the Marlow Rowing Club quad.
It's all about efficiency, isn't it? It's all about the way that the oars lock up, and then effectively the boat moves past them. The oars lock, and the boat moves past. And then they release it quietly, they release it efficiently, and do nothing to disturb it on the way forward. That's a nice, very nice shot.
Absolutely, and these ladies, they've dropped their rating, they're using their power and they're saving their energy because they know they will be meeting another crew tomorrow in the final. And right now, look at that, the legs are working together. Headington there, absolutely brave, pressing it on, using everything they've got, but headwind conditions, maybe that switch from the A a little bit too much when they met this fantastic crew from Marlow Rowing Club.
Yeah, absolutely. The Marlow Club, like you say, they'll know they've got another race tomorrow. I know it was Gloucester, did a fantastic job yesterday, but I know they've got a race in their hands today, late coming up. But no, they'll want to make sure they get this done, and then they'll get away. They'll be pleased to have had a morning race, so they can have some lunch, go for a walk, rest and recover, and prepare for what looks like it's going to be a final tomorrow from Marlow Rowing Club.
Yeah, absolutely. It won't be about enjoying the regatta for these girls yet. They'll be focusing on their next round on Sunday. They'll be wondering how to recover, working to recover. They'll have their strategies planned out already because Brett King is an organised guy. And let's look at this. Beautiful sculling here. Marlow Rowing Club, they take the applause. They're going to be winning this race, the last race before lunch in the Jubilee Challenge. The local crowds will turn out to see that wonderful performance by Marlow Rowing Club, and Headington fighting all the way to the line. Those girls will take that experience back to the school. They'll be talking about Henley Royal Regatta, and they'll be thinking about how they can go faster next year, Greg.
Yeah, fantastic performance from Marlow. Headington, I think it wasn't their day. I think, as you say, there's a reasonable size difference between the crews, and the headwind was probably something which would have helped Marlow. Headington, I'm sure their heads will be down, but they should feel proud of the fact they've raced here and they've represented themselves so well.